Okay, I close some applications where they slow down my system. All right, good evening, everyone. And it's a pleasure to have us again today. So quickly, we start with brief presentation as our culture has been. I will lead the presentation. My presentation will last between 5 to 10 minutes. So after that, we'll open the floor and hear our perspective on this topic. We'll open the floor and allow others to contribute on the topic. So today's topic is addressing the emerging forms of violence in the workplace and harassment. So we'll be looking at some of the non-conventional harassment and violence that is existing in the workplace, especially as we are developing into the technological era. So the violence is indirectly or gradually shifting from the conventional forms. So those are some of the things we'll be talking about. It doesn't mean that the conventional forms of harassment and violence has all stopped, but what it means is that is increasing, is taking different forms, different dimensions, while the conventional ones are still existing. So that is what we'll be looking at today. And I believe we all have a different perspective to share on this topic. So the traditional form of harassment we know talks about somebody being physically abused, physically assaulted, somebody like pushing, shouting at somebody. So those are form of workplace harassment and violence that we all know. That is traditional form of harassment. But as technology improves, other forms are emerging, such as psychological forms. There's also remote or digital harassment and violence that is existing now. So we'll take time to look at some of them and also discuss the measures or the proactive measures that organizations can put in place to prevent these forms of violence and harassment. So what are some of the emerging forms of harassment? We have psychological or emotional abuse, cyber harassment or cyberbullying, digital stalking, online defamation, social isolation. So what do we mean when we talk about psychological harassment? So these are some of repeated and unreasonable behaviors that are designed to humiliate somebody, that are designed to humiliate a worker or an employee in the workplace. So when this is ongoing, it's affecting the emotions of the person, and in the process, he will become intimidated, he will become humiliated, and he will not be able to perform his job very well. So this type of harassment or this type of abuse is targeting the emotions, is targeting the feelings of that of the worker. So you might not have an evidence. Maybe you cannot be able to prove it. So indirectly, somebody might get away with it, but it's good that we realize and we identify that this is a type of harassment that can go on in the workplace. Cyber harassment or cyberbullying, this has to do with use of electronic media to threaten, to bully somebody, to harass somebody, to send unsolicited messages and threats by typing, by videos. So these are some of the cyber or harassment and bullying that we can have. Then digital stalking, monitoring somebody closely online. For instance, your head or maybe your manager keeping track of your activities online, keeping track of your activities, following you every minute of the day, maybe on the LinkedIn, on Facebook, on other social media, tracking your print, your web print, and trying to know what you are doing at any point in time. So that could be digital stalking. It's monitoring you without any reasonable reason, but just to ensure that he will be able to find something to dent your image. Online defamation is another type of and another form of harassment that is emerging, which is spreading false information about somebody, trying to damage their reputation, trying to paint them red before the public or before the world. So that is online defamation. Social isolation is a type of harassment that might not be easily detected. But what happens in this case is that the entire people, they keep mute at you. They do not communicate with you. Other things happening in the workplace, you will not be informed. You will not be in any CC of the email. You will not be told about the activities ongoing in the workplace, deliberately excluding you from all forms of communications in the workplace. So you might not have a proof to be able to fight this type of cases, but it really exists. So that is what we need to be aware of. And when such things start happening, we should call it by its name. It's a harassment, it's a social isolation harassment. Okay, then misaggressions is a type of harassment whereby the person unintentionally expresses disrespect, and this accumulates over time. He overlooks you, he looks down on you, he talks to you anyhow, even in the face of the juniors or maybe in the face of subcontractors or visitors. He tries to always belittle the person. So this is also a form of harassment that goes on in the workplace that we need to put our eye on. So psychological or emotional form of violence, bullying, when it becomes persistent and the behavior, unwelcoming behavior continues, continue to go on, that is a form of harassment. It's called bullying. So, and in most cases, these activities are offensive. They're intimidating. They try to put all forms of words in place to intimidate you, to put you down, to humiliate you. So that is a form of harassment known as it's a form of violence known as bullying. The other one is mobbing. This type of bullying is done by a group of people. When the team members that you are supposed to be working together, your co-workers that you are supposed to be working as a team, when they team themselves together against you, they team yourselves together, try to target you in every activity or in every of their response. Instead of having a group discussion, all of them, they go and discuss together and bring up actions against you. So it's known as mobbing. So this form of bullying or this form of violence is ongoing in the workplace. So we need to know them and know them by their name and be able to identify them when they occur. Another type is known as gaslighting. Gaslighting is a situation whereby somebody becomes manipulative. He uses this type of behavior to cause other people to doubt their ability. So for instance, your head or your manager decides to use some manipulative behaviors to make you begin to think if you actually know this job or not. For instance, you submit a report and your manager comes up and brings different opinions that are not even in line with what is supposed to be. So in that situation, you start doubting yourself. You start thinking if you actually know this job or not. And it starts, when this becomes reoccurring, It's something that is occurring every time, and it starts affecting your emotions, it starts affecting your sanity. So it's called gaslighting. So another type is sabotage. Sabotage is when somebody deliberately hinder your work, when they deliberately hinder your reputation and your career progression. You are supposed to be promoted, you are supposed to be going higher, but the people in charge, or maybe the people around you, put all efforts together to ensure that your job is not seen by the management, or your reports are not going across where it's supposed to go. So they sabotage all your efforts. They hinder you being visible to the management. So that is a form of harassment, and is a form of violence at workplace. So we need to know them by their name. Excessive monitoring is also another form of harassment, where your supervisor or your manager decides to put all attention on you instead of distributing the attention, instead of monitoring the entire workforce. He's monitoring only you, focusing on you, checking on what you are doing, if you are doing it well or not. The intention is not to correct you, but the intention is to find fault. That is a form of harassment, and it's known as excessive monitoring or micromanagement. So a type of digital or cyber harassment, we have cyberbullying, online defamation. I think we have discussed this, digital stalking, unwanted digital contact. So in this type of situation, somebody that that is not known to you, somebody that you are not familiar with, keeps showing up, keeps sending you messages, keep giving you video calls. So it's also a type of harassment known as unwanted digital contact. Then deep fakes and manipulated media. Somebody putting up videos, cloning your voice or cloning your videos to be able to send negative or negative messages about you. So negative information from you. So that is known as deep fakes. So remote work, there's also a form of violence associated with remote works and new vulnerabilities. The first one is known as isolation. So when there is reduced social contact, when your employer or maybe your manager refuses you from contacting or socializing with other workers, so that is a form of harassment as well. Blurred boundaries. This happens when there is no adequate separation of your personal life and your jobs. So it happens more often with people working from home. There is no time for you to differentiate when you are supposed to be working and when you are supposed to be resting. So your management or your employer is giving you jobs every minute, calling you at every time, odd hours, not separating when you are supposed to be sleeping and when you are supposed to be working. So it's known as blurred boundaries. It's a form of harassment as well that we need to know. Reduced oversight is another form of harassment, where the supervisor becomes keeps less attention to you. Okay, so the supervision means bullying and harassment, and this type can also go unnoticed. Dependence on digital tools. So when there is increased reliance on virtual communication, and at the end, you might not be getting contacted. So that is also another form of bullying and harassment. Then lack of informal support. When you need help from your supervisor or from your manager, nobody comes up for you, nobody responds to you. So it's another form of harassment and bullying in the workplace. So what are the impacts that this harassment, violence that we have discussed, what are the impacts it will have in the workplace? So the first one, on the individual, it will lead to stress, to lead to anxiety, to lead to depression, it will lead to reduced self-esteem. You'll start doubting your capabilities. It will lead to loss of confidence. So there will be physical health also associated with it. The person will be having headache, sleep disturbances because of this harassment and bullying that he has been facing. Then it can lead to absenteeism. He starts avoiding work, or presenteeism, whereby he will be at work, but his impact will not be seen. He will not be able to contribute anything. Then it can then lead to turnover. People will start leaving the work. People will start resigning. Then on the organization, it will lead to decreased productivity. The workers' morale will be very low, thereby leading to low productivity. And it will increase absenteeism and staff turnover. Then the reputation of the image will be damaged, of course, because workers will be leaving and they will be telling bad stories about the employer. Then there could be legal costs and fines. If people fine for compensation, or they fine for they sue for compensation, or they claim harassment in court, then the organization will have to pay fines and all those compensations. Then it will be difficult for the company to attract and retain talent. So people will resign, people will leave the job, and it will be difficult for them to employ more people because the story is known everywhere that they bully their workers, they harass their workers often. So then there will be an erosion of trust. The employees will no longer trust the employers. They will feel scared. They are psychologically affected. They feel that they were not safe. So it will also lead to people leaving the job and people not giving in their best. So one of the ways of handling or taking care of this cyberbullying, harassment, is by early detection. So how do you do this early detection? First, there was going to be behavioral changes. If the worker or the employees start changing characters, you know how they used to behave before, how they were very active, they were responsive, they were coming to work early. So if those things begin to change, so you know that there could be an issue of harassment and bullying, and we need to pay attention to it and investigate it properly. So physical symptoms, when there is stress-related illness, fatigue, there's change in appetite, change in sleep. So it means that there is something going on within the worker and we need to take action. So we need to recognize these symptoms as early as possible. So poor performance, when the performance of the worker begins to decline, when he can no longer perform as he used to. So we should start suspecting bullying, harassment in the workplace or other forms of violence that could lead to that. So when there is subtle complaints, when the worker cannot openly come up to complain, but is always discomforted, when issue of social manager is raised, when issue of social supervisor is raised, but is always try to distance himself. So we should be able to point out that something is always going on, that we need to identify such harassment that is going. Then when there is increase in absenteeism, we should know that maybe something like harassment or bullying is going on. So this worker cannot handle it again. So the best option he chooses is to stay away from work. So some of the proactive measures that we can put in place to prevent harassment and bullying in the workplace is, first is to have clear policy. The organization should have a clear policy stating what is defined as harassment, bullying, and violence in the workplace, and what are the consequences of violating this policy. So the policy should be clear and communicated to the workers and the entire employees. Then the next action is leadership commitment. The management, the senior management, everybody will be committed to implementing the policies against harassment and bullying and violence in the workplace. Training and awareness, everybody will be trained, the employees, the managers, directors, supervisors, everybody will be trained on how to recognize violence in the workplace, the actions to take, the reporting procedures, how to report those things. So training and awareness, continuous training and awareness is a proactive measure that will be in place so that workers will know their rights, they will know when they are being violated, they know who to report to. So those will help to put an end to violence in the workplace. Then the other thing that should be in place is value and culture. We should promote culture of diversity. Everybody should understand that people are coming from different workplaces, different walks of life, different cultures, and everybody's culture needs to be respected. So trying to build a culture of respect, a culture of equity and inclusion, not putting anybody behind, not neglecting anybody's culture or anybody's nationality in any decision that has to do with the workplace. So this will help to build values and culture in the workers. And then harassment will be a thing of past because everybody understands that people are different, people do things differently, and people can complain differently. So the harassment, violence will be reduced because there is value culture in the workplace. Then code of conduct. The organization should clearly state what is the expectation of the workers, what is expected of workers, how you expect them to behave both offline and online, what is not expected of them, what they are not allowed to post on the internet, what they are not allowed to bring to work, what they are not allowed to do, the type of waste that they are not allowed to use on fellow workers. So these expectations should be clearly stated so that it will help to prevent any of those violence, harassment, and bullying. Okay, so this is the little I have to share. I know that there are more, and we'll be able to get those perspectives from others. So it's not good that I share almost everything and leave out nothing to communicate, to contribute. So the floor will be open now, and I'll be glad to learn from others as well.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
See, Ama is not really a contribution, but though I joined a little bit late, but there was a place you talked about excessive monitoring. There is a kind of a form of harassment. Now, my question goes like this. My name is David Austin. My question goes like this: Is it a generally acceptable? Is it generally acceptable globally? Everybody is aware that excessive monitoring is an harassment, and if yes, is there a penalty to that? And how do you prove evidence that this person, because normally excessive monitoring comes from your supervisor, your manager, or somebody that is ahead of you. So how do you relate it? How do you really hold it that okay, this is an excessive monitoring? At what point do you say this is an excessive monitoring that it will become an harassment? Thank you.
Okay. So first, it's not a global, it's not one of the global recognized forms of harassment. Okay. Remember what we are discussing today is emerging forms of violence in the workplace. So these are some of the violence that are coming up that are not yet too visible to everyone, right? So we are trying to bring them up to light so that we also try to start shedding light on those things. That is one of our functions as health and safety professionals. There are some issues or some cases that are not yet known in our workplace that when we learn about them, then we start throwing light on them. So one is not yet globally visible, but is one of the emerging forms of violence. Now, at what point will it become excessive? It can become excessive when it has exceeded the normal form of monitoring given to other colleagues. Okay, in the workplace, you are not the only person working there, and if this supervisor or the manager is monitoring you like this, giving all different forms of marking, different forms of monitoring, as against the way he's monitoring other colleagues as well, right? So, and in those such situations, it starts getting you uncomfortable. You start getting uncomfortable. You start losing your morale. You start losing your confidence. Okay, it has crossed the boundary of monitoring. Now it's a form of harassment. Okay, so with those psychological effect it's having on you, you can be able to prove that you are being harassed because you are losing your confidence, you are losing your composure, you can no longer face him, you start dodging him, you start running away from his presence because of those excessive monitoring and all that. So if you're able to, if you are feeling those type of symptoms, then you know that actually you are being excessively monitored and it's a form of harassment that that can affect your morale at work. So that is what I have to answer. I know others can also have something else to add. Mr. Samuel, go ahead. Your hand is up.
Good evening, sir. I want to talk about that excessive monitoring. In a situation whereby maybe your supervisor is monitoring you, that is not all about work alone, but maybe you have a kind of maybe lost interest in that person, or he doesn't just like the person, and then now look at the form of what he can use or a weapon can use to fight that person. How can that person address that issue? I believe maybe it's a safety officer in that, because that particular supervisor, maybe he might not even take note that what he's doing is right or wrong, or is totally wrong, that might eventually lead to have an adverse effect on the company or the staff, that particular staff. Who is to checkmate that particular supervisor? Because or how can we address that kind of something? Because that particular worker maybe doesn't even have the courage or to approach that kind of supervisor or manager. Who is to checkmate or to bring that, if that one is noticed in an organization? Who is to address that kind of issue apart from that manager?
Okay, Mr. Princewell, you want to answer him, or you have a different?
No, I just have a contribution on the topic, not in response to his question.
Okay, let me respond to him first, then you'll start. Okay, so Mr. Samuel, based on what you are saying, that is one of the reasons why we are raising the topic, so that if we understand exactly when it becomes a harassment, so that we don't take every form of confrontation or every form of advice or supervision, we don't take it and say it's harassment or it's bullying. Okay, when it becomes harassment or bullying is when the worker start feeling uncomfortable, when it becomes excess, right? When the person can no longer concentrate or be able to do his job effectively because of that monitoring or that excessive monitoring. So it becomes harassment. Okay, so in that situation, what it has to do is every organization, we talked about policy. Every organization, good and well-meaning organization, will have a policy stating the harassment, it's called harassment and bullying policy. Some call it violence at work policy. So that policy will state what is violence at work and state the forms, how it has to be reported. Okay, so that is what we talked about, that every organization should have that policy, and the policy will be able to help the worker to know where to report to and how to go about the reporting. And if that policy exists, then it's our job as health and safety professionals to propagate it, to make sure that every worker understands what is harassment and what are the limits and who to report to and how to go about the report. Okay, so it starts with having the policy and management commitment, and we communicating, giving awareness training to the workers, then they will know how to go about the reporting based on the policy of that organization. Okay, so Mr. Princewell, you can unmute and go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Yeah, so the topic is very interesting, and I followed up twice now. This is my first time of picking up the mic to speak. First of all, workplace violence and harassment. Harassment or violence can come in different forms, and most times victims of this issue do not find it easy to speak up because of the kind of environment they find themselves, either fear of victimization. In fact, fear of victimization is one of the reasons why most persons face this harassment or intimidation or bullying from their bosses, and they try as much as possible to keep it to themselves. But then it is also harmful to keep such issues to themselves. For my work area, there is a department that was set up, which is ethics and compliance. And if anybody is faced with such harassment, it is a
We cannot hear you again, Mr. Princewell. Prince, check your mic. We can't hear you again.
I think it should be network.
Okay,
expected
we
that
can
that
move
person
on.
will follow.
Yeah, we can move on. Someone else can continue. The floor is still open, please.
Okay, good evening, you.
Good evening.
He was talking about ethics and compliance. We're in the same project, and we have a department for line of reporting that such. My name is David Austin. Such harassment is being reported to ensure there is a general unique number that you called. You can make yourself visible, or you can also send a text message, and the exercise is come in different form. You should have a verbal. You can harass somebody with your word alone. Through what you say, of course, somebody can be harassed. So we have a department for that alone that handle all the harassment in any form that it may come. So that is what Prince is trying to pass across. We're in the same project, though it's in another side, me, I'm in another side. So I just say, let me round it up. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. That is how standard and established organizations do. They deal with this type of things from the beginning, from the onset, so that everybody coming into the organization, you know what is the standard, and you cannot go beyond what is expected of you or what is not permitted in the workplace. All right, let's get a contribution from others. The time is running. Okay, if there's no further contribution, I will close for the day.
Hello, Mr. Obina, well done, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, can you?
Welcome. Yeah, I
Yes,
can hear
sir.
you.
It's an interesting one, actually. I just want to add one or two things to what has been said so far. this harassment of a thing, sometimes it may be something that is why people don't really consider harassment as a serious issue. There are sometimes it might just be that the person that said he's been harassed or victimized, he might not really have anything to really prove and evidence to show that yes, I'm being harassed in a workplace. So if you go to management and complain that this person is harassing me, they will want to look for evidence. So that's why this problem, this challenge, most of the time is difficult to handle. And you rarely see somebody that come up and say, yes, I'm harassed, that kind of thing, except they produce an evidence to show that this thing has taken place. So something just happened in my workplace recently. Oh, do you know that I heard it from the HR that this thing took place? But do you know that this something was not reported in any way because it's between a boy and a girl. You understand? A boy trying to, you see, the boy is a driver, he drives a vehicle, and he's supposed to take a certain female to our place of work, leaving our base to our other our athletes. So, but because of the fact that this guy has a thing to do with the girl, he tells the girl that you see, you must come to the front, come and sit down at the front. Hey, you know that kind of thing. So if the girl will come up, or the lady will come up later and say, this man is harassing me, what is the evidence? What is there to really prove that this guy harassed you? So most of the time, find out this kind of issues, they are very, very difficult to handle. That's why in most workplaces, they rarely consider this as a risk factor actually. So it's mostly in advanced climes that you tend to have this kind of things being talked about. So in places like Nigeria, Africa, that we don't have regard for anything of such. In fact, a guy trying to woo a young lady, people see it as normal in the kind of society we are in. And as a matter of fact, too, such a lady might be deprived. Maybe she has a benefit to get from the job, or something that she ought to benefit from the job, or a certain thing that she ought to do in her work. She is going to be deprived by the end of the day, and the job, it will suffer because of that. So find out that these kind of problems, they are very, very difficult, and that's why they are rarely talked about. So in the advanced climes, the advanced society, uh, the white people, their culture and our culture, they're a bit different from ours. That's why you can see that all these things, they they come up and they don't take it lightly at all. But in the kind of society we are, it's really rarely talked about. You understand? So it's a very shameful way that a person, just because of the fact that maybe it's a particular sex, or maybe you came from a particular race or so, it will be deprived in the workplace. Will not be allowed to do the job the way it's supposed to do, doing it in a safe way, or something that will deprive his health or safety. So it's really a terrible, terrible thing to handle. So that's my little contribution as regards this topic. Thank you, Mr. Ovina.
All right. Thank you, Mojede. Thank you for that wonderful contribution. So, do we have any other person that wants to contribute?
Yes, so Mr. Jackson, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, thank you for this wonderful topic. I just want to say thank you. I know as you are speaking, many people are reflecting on different experiences. We cannot deny the fact that in one way or the other, irrespective of the position you hold at site, not being experienced any of this form of harassment at the workplace. Sometimes from colleagues, sometimes from your subordinates, or from managers. So it's a very good topic, and for me, I will use myself as an example. One way or the other, I experience these forms of harassment one way or the other at the workplace from colleagues sometimes. Even my company has a very strong culture regarding all that. But you know, human behaviors. So when these things happen and we sense it, how do we go about it? We have to notice the signal, then de-escalate if possible. If you don't want to escalate the issue or report anybody, then remember we had a session on this platform on emotional intelligence, because this thing actually affects a lot of people emotionally and cause one or two damages that cannot be quantified or really evaluate. So it's a very good topic, and when it happens to us or to people that we are managing, we should always follow this procedure. Like example of reporting in like my organization. If you want to report issues like that, nobody will know. Your manager, for example, you are reporting your manager, or you're reporting your colleagues on harassment. He will never know that you are the one that do it, because there is a team managing that. So in one occasion or two that I've experienced it, I didn't report anybody, but I have to deal with it. I spoke with the person politely, not trying to be in his own or her own level. So that was how I be able to manage myself in my organization and throughout my experience. And with others, I have experienced harassment from my like somebody oppressing my colleague, harassed my colleagues because of position or the other. I raised the issue. I met him one-on-one. I spoke with him, and that's where the matter stopped. So this case is a very vital one. And thank you for bringing up this topic. That's my contribution.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew. Thank you for that wonderful contribution. Do we have any other contributor before we call it a day?
Yeah, so Alvin, I will like to just contribute. Can
All
you
right,
hear
so
me?
go ahead. Yes, we can hear you.
So good evening, everybody. Today I plan not to even to talk. I just wanted to be listening to people and just get it because personally I'm a victim of this very this very topic. So I wanted to listen to how the solutions from everybody. Maybe I will find solace in at the end of the day I will find solace in your solutions, and then if there are any plans or how to mitigate it, I will listen from people and then try to implement it. It's a very bad situation where you are harassed, especially by your boss in the workplace. Is really not very a good feeling at all. Sometimes if you are not strong professionally, it tends to bring you down. There is this low esteem. You begin to feel like you're not even up to what you think you were. Is it that you don't even know your job? Sometimes it even makes you lose balance, and to some people they begin to get professionally depressed. It's not really good. It's not really good. Most organizations will set up things like ethics and compliance, avenues of reporting harassment. But you find out that at the end of the day, these platforms and these avenues are even meant for management officials. Yes, so they will tell you, your identity is going to be concealed. You bring the problem, they are going to look into it. They will not disclose your. But sometimes somehow you go and report some issues, and before you find, before you know yourself, you have already abbreviated your problem, and the next time you see your name on the notice board, they are asking you to go home. Maybe you've been sacked, you have been placed on redundancy, or some other issues. Sometimes when in a workplace there are bound to be disagreements. So sometimes when you tend to disagree with maybe your bosses constructively, not not the other one. When you tend to disagree constructively, maybe you try to see the other side of their own opinion. Some bosses may not take it lightly. Some bosses just want to be on top. They just want you to take the last order from them. And because you are trying to see if there is an alternative to what they have said, and you try to bring it up, it becomes a problem, and then they are not comfortable with you any longer. And before you know, they try to begin to stigmatize you. They try to see how they can make you become very dysfunctional. I mean, you don't partake in the team, you don't do anything. So it becomes an emotional trauma. There is a state that harassment, professional harassment from bosses will reach, and you just find out that the individual becomes redundant to himself because he becomes very low in esteem, and it's not a good thing. So yes, this topic is really very, very, very good. I've been listening to everybody talk. I've been listening to how people are beautifully describing what has happened to them or what has happened to somebody they have seen, but I have not really seen what are those things you do. What are those things you do when you find yourself in this situation? What's the way forward? Apart from what Mr. Obina has enlisted on the slide, are there other things that one can do? Are there other avenues one can follow? Are there other characteristics or mitigation line one can follow to see how you resolve this amicably? And at the end of the day, you're not on the bad side of your boss's book, and you're at the same time you're satisfied with also yourself and your place of work. So these are the things I wanted to also hear from other people, because some of us that are victim of this, we we necessarily need to know some of these solutions and uh, uh, mitigation measures to see how we can work with our bosses who have this kind of character. Nobody wants to lose his job, his or her job, because jobs are very difficult. But at the same time, nobody wants to be professionally harassed. So we need to meet these two ends at one point and find a solution. So it's a good one. Thank you, Mr. Obina. Let me use this avenue to also, Sir Obina, let me use this avenue to also welcome some persons which have joined us, like Mr. Moni Alaso, who is my client on this project, and some I also have uh, Annie and some other persons who have not, I have added, but they have not joined. So I don't know if there is an avenue for Amara to also say something because she's a greenhorn, and also Mr. Solomon Alaso. Thank you very much, sir, for this topic. It's wonderful. It's very wonderful, and I'm learning a lot. Thank you.
Thank
Hello,
you very much
good
for
evening,
this.
everyone.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Solomon. Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I thank you to Swangba, who is my friend, my colleague, my brother. Um, our relationship spans from virtual to physical relationship, and thank you for bringing me into this platform. I want to appreciate the initiators and the propellers of this dream and the aspirations. I wouldn't want to say much because I joined quite late, but I want to speak on something which is harassment. There is need to strengthen the campaign. There is need to strengthen the call for collaborations and key stakeholders' engagement to deal and manage the impact of harassment at workplace. Individually, we all have our experiences, and it's really, really demoralizing and affecting productivity and efficiency. So, I very glad to be among you, and I look forward to better collaborations and better participation in the future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon, and welcome to this team.
Ovina, do we still have time? I don't know because Amara, you're a greenhorn. You just started work somewhere.
Okay.
Are you seeing anything like this in your workplace?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Mr.
Good
Bina,
evening.
can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Amarachi Obunia. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks to Mr. Henry. Actually, this is my third week of joining. The first week was when you guys talked about shipping with badges, benefits, risk, and opportunities. My second week was behavior-based safety, and today, although I joined very late, talking about addressing emerging from form of workplace violence and harassment. Honestly, it's a very interacting platform, and I'm learning. I'm actually, right, maybe I'm the youngest among you guys. I'm just a HSC officer. I work for Road Lamp Limited. So I'm glad I'm here, and I thank God for the benefits and every other thing. Thank you.
You are welcome, Amara.
Thank you. You
Hello.
are highly welcome. And this is where we learn from each other. Nobody knows it all. We are all learning and we are growing together. So we give opportunity
Hello,
for
Mr.
us
Bina.
to learn from each other. You are highly welcome.
Hello,
Yeah,
Mr.
go ahead,
Thank
Amojade.
you.
Yeah.
Yes, I just want to say one or two things. When this program was started some months back or some years back, I know how I have benefited thus far in this program. And the beautiful thing I like about the program is that you see it's a Thursday tonic thing. It's something that every Thursday it's not a workshop that you just do today, then before you do it again, it takes a long time. But it's a workshop that you do every Thursday, and so it creates a platform for you to learn new things every day. You get to know something you've not known before. You get to hear viewpoints of other people that are in the field of HSC, mostly from those guys that are experienced. So to a very large extent, I was saying, now you guys have done a great thing in my life. There's no Thursday that will pass that my mind does not boil to listen to this program. I know what I've benefited so far. So I really I give it up to you guys. You guys are great. You are doing a very nice job for us. You imagine people that have worked in oil fields, people that have worked in different fields, people that have worked in Qatar, remarkable organizations, coming to give their viewpoints in this forum. Oh, it's a great thing you guys have done for us. So for those people that are just upcoming Amara and Co, I want to encourage you. Just try and do your best every Thursday. Always try to come on board. You're going to benefit a lot from this program. So that's my little thing I just want to say to appreciate the organizers of this program. Mr. Obina, Mr. Francis, you guys are doing greatly. We appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Amojade. Thank you for.
Not just appreciate them. Not just appreciate them. Next time you are coming into the house here, please drag your
you.
cow along and come and pay your sacrifice.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure to have all of us. Yeah, Mr. David.
Yes, sorry. As we are rounding up, I want to, regarding to what Swangba said, kind of, it was a question form. He said, what
Yeah.
are the way out in terms of this harassment? I think one of the way out is to be to be good at what you are doing. Just be good. Know what you are doing. Be professional about it, so that when the harassment will come in any form, the first thing they'll look at is good at what he's doing. Then punctuality, because they can also use, okay, this person is not coming. They always want to use something to hold at. Punctuality is one of it. Of course, be punctual for your work, be professional, and be good at what you are doing. I think that will also is part of the mitigation for the harassment. It also limits the risks or the percentage of the risks for the harassment. That is what I want to add, sir.
Thank you, David
That is
Austin.
a good.
Thank you.
It's a good addition, because you see, most people, they are not able to recognize harassment because of some of their own inefficiencies, you know? So like we talked about over monitoring.
Exactly, sir.
So
Very,
if you
very
are
well.
not efficient in what you do, you wouldn't be able to differentiate when you are being over monitored and when somebody is correcting you. So like if I'm so capable of doing a particular thing and you are putting so much eye on me, on what I know I can do, I can teach people, I can deliver, then I'll have to ask you a question. What exactly is your point? What are you trying to achieve? So that is when you'll be able to recognize these excesses or this additional form of harassment. So like he said, being very good at what you do is very, very important. Improving yourself, just like we are doing, read a lot, watch videos, attend seminars. We have a lot of platforms. If you are not a member of IOSH, you can join IOSH branch of where you are. You must not be a member of that branch before you attend the monthly meetings. Attend IOSH monthly meetings. That is part of industry best practice. So when you learn from people within your industry, you'll be able to improve. Then another thing is that policy. If the organization has adequate reporting policy, we should make it known to all the workers. We should let the workers understand what the policy says about harassment. And when that is clear, then reporting can start coming in. So when the report comes in, then we'll be able to push for the management to take action against those people based on what the policy have said. I think that is the what I can add to that. Is there any further contribution before we close for today? I have a social media handle known as Safeoclock. So I will encourage us, especially the YouTube channel. So every of these our recorded video, we'll post it there. So in case you miss any, if you miss any segment, you can be able to catch up from the video. So just subscribe and keep it open.
Mr. Mina.
Yeah.
Let me also use this opportunity to welcome one of my bosses, my clients here, Mr. Abraham Brown. I just added him to. These are very thick HSE personnel, very seasoned, that are guiding us to make sure that we finish strong on this project. So Mr. Abraham, you're welcome.
Mr. Abraham, I'm adding my voice to welcome you also. We are here to learn from you guys. So open your mind to let us learn or get some from the words.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you.
Good
Thank
evening.
you, Swengba. Thank you.
All right. So I think we have exhausted our contribution for today. So we call it a day, and next week we'll be talking about another topic. Remember, the platform is open for anyone to lead the discussion. So if you have a topic you want us to share, you let me know. I will prepare the flyer, then you will lead the discussion for that week. It must not always be me. It can be any of us. All right. See you next week, and do have a blessed day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Bye.